no one plays Afterplays, so... Let's go to Songhai where we get our first really, really important reprint. So, Roxane suggested 8 gates, and I think that's a really good shout, because Crescent Spear is going to be... is maybe the most impactful single card, because almost all good Songhai decks for a long time now have played this. Like, you know, there's been Arcanist Songhai and things that haven't, but those decks are distinctly not tier 1. They're not bad, but they're not, like, competitively speaking, they're not the cream of the crop, whereas 8 Gates River and now Mantra regularly places well in tournaments, and obviously is a terror of the ladder. So right now, do I have an 8 Gates list kicking around? No. Apparently not. Let's bash one together. So let's look at Mantra. So current Mantra, you play... I don't really know Mantra decks by heart, so I'm kind of making this up a little bit, but we have 8 Gates, we have Blood Rage Mask, Phoenix Fire, some people play some of this stuff, Fox Bear, some people play Fox, some people play Oni, some people just play Rocket Up Terra and Adjudicator. Let's go with that version for now. Thunderbomb, Twin Strike. The Mantra itself, obviously. Cobra Strike. Geomancer. People play Geomancer. Mantra. I don't know if you need 2 or 3 copies. And then Adjudicator and Rocket Up Terra. So this is something like a current Mantra deck, right? I'm making this up a little bit. The numbers are probably wrong, but you know, maybe there's 3 Mantras and only 2 Cobra Strikes or whatever. But this is roughly what they look like. So what I basically did there, I clicked on burn spells until the deck was full. We have, I think the only things that aren't just damage, we have Mana Vortex, which is basically still damage. Adjudicator is quite an important piece of the combo. Rocket Up Terra is a nice little role player, as well as occupying a small amount of board space. And Geomancer is a good way of making sure you don't run out of gas. Hey, Yoshi Games, thanks for joining. Adam Squirrel, I like that name. It's fair, I've always liked squirrels. I think I was going on holiday when I was a kid. We'd go to this place that was like a... resort is the wrong word, but like a sort of place for people to go and relax in a forest, basically, with nice accommodation in the UK. And because it was in a forest, there was squirrels everywhere. I loved them. So I've always liked squirrels. But yeah, so this is my approximation of what Mantra looks like. Once you cut Crescent Spear, so obviously some of your damage potential goes down, and you can't hit people in the face for 3 instead of 2, which is slightly sad. But the main thing you lose, I think, is Twin Strike. So, and to a lesser extent, Kotatsu. But Twin Strike going from 2 to 3 is such an enormous upgrade that I think losing access to that tool is going to be a big deal for this deck. Oh, there's also Ghost Lightning, which I forgot to include. Pretend there's some Ghost Lightnings in here. So, I tell you what. If I just, for the sake of argument, do this. Alright, we cut the spears, put in the Ghost Lightnings, I forgot. Is this still a viable deck? Like, can this kill things? So, you can't Mantra until about turn 6, usually. Right, you need a decent amount of mana, especially if you've not drawn an Adjudicator. Crescent Spear is rotating, right? Because I never got any... Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Looking at Crescent Spear first, since it's quite an impactful card. So this is... Yeah, we're looking at Mantra right now, and we're going to look at 8 Gates after this. I think this version of Mantra looks way worse. I have seen people play Mantra without Crescent Spear in tournaments. In doing Rookie Brawl coverage, I've seen people play it, probably for budget reasons. But, man, the removal looks weak. And I think that's going to be a big deal, because part of this deck's strength is its ability to efficiently answer the opponent's early game. You can Twin Strike their 2-drops, Onyx Bear Seal their Thunderhorn, and all of a sudden you're in the mid game and you're not dead yet. Then you can play a Geomancer and get some more value. And while you're doing this, you're cycling through your deck, sculpting the hand, and eventually you find the combo and you kill it. I don't know if they've actually revealed what the card does yet, but earlier on they tweeted the art of a card called Knuckle Storm or something, which is, I wouldn't be surprised if that was in it. Oh yes, here we go. Yes. This is exactly what I thought the card would be. This is going to be spicy. So obviously it's not that busted, but the main trick is going to be dealing getting extra copies of it. So yeah, Lore Weaver would make this gross. It is a 1 mana burn spell, so off 8 gates you can do some horrible, horrible things. What does the intensify keyword do? The effect basically is duplicated for each time you've played the card. So the first time you play one of these, it deals 1 damage, then it deals 2, then it deals 3, and so on. So it's going to be very, very exciting. I'm a fan of this. Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, that card goes right in this deck, right? So, and 8 gates, in fact. I wonder whether they considered they would add Intensify when they made that Vanna card. Which one? Oh, the, Oh, that's an interesting shout. Well, you can't stun your own minions with Elena, but you can with... How do you stun your own... Can you stun your own minions with Frigid Corona? Honestly, don't remember. Man, this is going to be sweet, actually. So, if we're talking about Mantra and 8 gates, I don't know if Mantra itself will survive without a cheap spell damage effect, but maybe there'll be some card that's like, you know, 1 mana this turn, you get +1 damage on your spells, draw a card or whatever. Yeah, so I guess going back to Knucklestorm, that swaps right into this deck, I guess. So I don't know if you can still play all these Twin Strikes or even Cobra Strike. You probably need more hard removal. So you probably need more minions, to be honest. It's slower, but something like Eternity Painter might fit quite well. Certainly if you're playing 8 gates, you can afford to be a bit more mid-rangey. Like, so, to clarify for people unfamiliar, 8 gates Raver is a deck that plays a bunch of... It's like a mix of Mantra and a normal creature deck, where you can interact with your opponent, you play stuff to the board, you've got Lantern Foxes, probably Thunderhorn these days. But unlike most tempo decks, you play 8 gates, and the plan is to build up burn in your hand, and then combo finish your opponent from, you know, 10 to 15 life. Around about the same time that Mantra would, maybe slightly later. So in those decks you can play extra minions, like I've played Zendo in it, I think most people do. It's very, very effective. And something like that, Knucklestorm would be ideal. You know, your win condition package can be 8 gates, Knucklestorm, Phoenix Fire. Yeah, you still lose out on Crescent Spear, but 8 gates doesn't need to play it anyway, because you're not leaning on Twin Strike anywhere near as much as Mantra is. So yeah, I think, well, I was going to be a bit sad about losing Crescent Spear, but getting another cheap burn spell, I think pushes those Songhai decks basically back to where they were in terms of playability. I think Mantra might have to run more creatures to keep up in the early game. And you might even see, this is highly unlikely, but you might even see Mantra decks playing stuff like Primus Shieldmaster or Thunderhorn, like, but particularly Primus, because Primus is a great defensive creature. If you want a card that's going to deal 2 damage to some 2-drops, deal 3 damage to some 2-drops, Primus Shieldmaster's kind of your man. That was the joke. Okay, you were joking. Sorry, it's hard to tell via text. Unless you could give it Super Wind Fury, that would be hilarious. They need to make that as a card. Yeah, so going back to... So Crescent Spear, we thought was going to be sad, but then new spoiler came in and everything's probably fine on the Songhai half. You'll want to, in Mantra, you'll want to probably lean more on minions instead of Twin Strike to do early removal, unless we get another good early removal spell. Battle Panda is rotating as well, so that takes out another strong AoE option.